Today's video, we're going to be covering the best team of the weeks to invest in this week. So, just before the video does start, a quick little ad on a trading service I offer over on Twitch. For the cheapest premium trading service for just £4, €4, or free with Amazon Prime. You'll get yourself daily trading and investing guides covering both Xbox and PlayStation with an array of different techniques depending on your budget. I've been trading for over 10 years, making over 100 million on multiple titles, and recently making over 10 million in the first month for the last 3 years. In today's video, what we're going to do is we are going to cover the best team of the weeks to invest in this week, just so you guys know what to go and pick up on Monday before I even release videos talking about me buying 2 million coins of a player. You'll probably get a rough idea of what players I'm going to buy. Just quickly before I do cover this week, we might as well just talk a little bit about last week. What did very well last week? Well, Openda did very well. This is a guy I kind of tipped. Went from 13 to 19 in a few days. Odegaard did very well. He went from the best part of 28 all the way up here to 37. Douglas Luiz did okay. I think a lot of the high-rated players did quite well, actually. 18 through here to 22. Luke Shaw went down in price because they messed up with his price range. Griezmann did the best part of 30 and actually stayed at 30. Which is quite interesting. Lafont went from the best part of 12k. He's only to about 1350. And did Cacret do anything in the end? Not really. He went up 2k. So there were some small rises on the team of the weeks. I think the best was Openda in terms of value for money. And then you did have Odegaard and Douglas Luiz. And again, just a few of the fodder's been okay. So again, I think anything 86 plus hasn't been too bad. Yeah, 13 up here to 18. Obviously today's SBC is going to help that a lot. So that is what went well last week, but this is what we've got this week. Now, this week's team of the week is actually extremely high rated. We've got ourselves where are we going? 1, 2, 3, 4 87s that by the end of the week are probably all going to be discard. We've got ourselves a 90 rated that'll be discard by the end of the week, if he isn't already. And we got ourselves a 91 rated that'll be discard by the end of the week, and an 88. Other than that, a few 84s, bunch of 85s, and the rest was history. So, let's go through these and talk about what will be a good investment. Bench McGee, rubbish, because he's going to be in the La Liga 2, which means there's nothing interesting. Second player, Australian League, nothing interesting. Belgian Pro League, nothing really gets released in the Belgian Pro League. Same with the Indian League, very, very rarely are we going to get anything good released there. Scottish League, yes, there is the Taverner and Kent coming out, but no one's going down the Scottish League route. We've got La Liga, again, no demand for him, Eredivisie, this can work. We've seen the Eredivisie goalkeeper do well in the past. The only problem is, obviously, it's very subjective on a well-demanded Eredivisie SBC more than a player. Who did quite well? I think it was Passivere. Yeah, Passivere's done quite well in the past with certain SBCs, going up here to 21k, going up here to 23, but I think that's because all Team of the Weeks rose. But he's risen for a few well-demanded Eredivisie SBCs in the past. So there is an outside chance of picking up some citizens for discard. Would it be bad? You're just waiting on the right SBC. Now, one thing I will say before I move on to a lot of the team is a lot of it's just going to depend on what SBCs we get next week. If we get well-demanded SBCs in the Prem, you're going to see the Prem metas do well. If we get well-demanded SBCs in the Serie A, you're going to see Serie A players do well. And so on and so on. For example, Openda was one of the best performers last week because everyone's building Ligue 1 teams. If everyone wasn't building Ligue 1 teams last week and everyone was building, I don't know, let's say everyone was building La Liga teams, well then you'd probably see the likes of Pau Torres and Griezmann do better because everyone's building into the La Liga. So I will say that I am recommending these without actually knowing what is the general direction people are going to build their teams next week. And obviously if people are building, if we get loads of good Serie A SBCs, Serie A players are doing well. I mean, you can see below we've got 2 English SBCs. So maybe if we continue getting really good English SBCs, Tammy Abraham will do well. Not the most demanded card in the world, but you kind of get the gist. So let's carry on then. We've got Benacer. Benacer at discard, I don't think it's going to be too bad. Discard for Benacer is probably going to end up being about 12, 13k. He's got really good AC Milan links. Obviously, Serie A midfield is a slightly saturated position. Quite a lot of players in there, the likes of Zambo, Inform Barella. I'm sure there's many others. Centre mids is always a relatively saturated position. But obviously, anytime there's an AC Milan SBC, which seems to be more than not, because obviously AC Milan is one of the top teams that EA just pick over and over again. Picking up some Benitez at 13 wouldn't be bad. Again, Tammy Abraham, picking him up at about 13k later in the week, I think is also going to be decent. The reason for that is because we already know there's 2 well-demanded English SBCs. So if we come and get a third, Tammy Abraham can do well. We now move to Solov. Now, I understand that everyone is hyping up Solov because he's got 91 pace. He's got himself, 93 physical, which is really nice in that. But The problem is he is relatively unlinkable to good players. We go into Real Sociedad, we're really not looking at much. Not that's been released in the last month at least. And obviously we go to Norway, yeah, you've got a Haaland, yeah, you've got an Odegaard, but these, aren't really the most demanded players, and plus it's a striker link into a striker. Which as a result means that this guy's just going to hit discard. Unless pros are hyping him up, I actually don't think he'll really do that well out of packs. Because unless pros are hyping him up or people are building La Liga teams, again, it's great on paper. It looks like he'll be super demanded on paper. But when it comes to it, I just don't think he'll be actually fitting into people's teams because of how hard he is to link in. Leno's not too amazing. I did a little bit of a background check on some of the Prem goalkeepers. I thought the Prem informed goalkeepers actually would do well, but both Melia and Dean Henderson didn't do very well. Obviously, the likes of Fulham, not really going to get many SBCs that are demanded with Fulham. And when it comes to Germany Prem, that's not really a strong sort of link that really works in your favour. We then get to Conde. Yeah, Conde could definitely be one of the pickups on Sunday. Oh yeah, these players you're looking to buy, you're probably going to buy them Sunday morning to Sunday evening. There's an outside chance that the SBC released on the Monday can drop them, but we see more times than what these being the cheapest on Sunday. Yeah, Conde is literally one of the star players, if not the star player in the team, which means you'll have a lot of people looking to invest in him, so probably keeping it relatively early on a Sunday. Get him before the crowds. Sadly, he's only got right-back utility, so you can't actually play him in centre-back, but nonetheless, because of the Barcelona and the France and the La Liga links, he should be quite well demanded, so I would recommend looking out on Conde. Then get to Danilo, and again, I'll be surprised if he doesn't hit discard. It is not a bad-looking card with 3 80s in the stats where you kind of want them with physical defending and pace. The only problem is he's one of 101 Serie A centre-backs that's got like 80 pace, so he's nothing too special, but I do think I would put a proportion of my coins in him. At least, yeah. I mean, if we move to, we've obviously got this Breme. We've got ourselves, obviously, Golden Mori is relatively demanded. We've got this Inform Breme, which again is Matey Boy who came out a while ago. We've got Bonucci. Obviously, there's not much between that. Who else do we have which EA's released? Obviously, got the Bastoni last week. So, he's really nothing too insane. Yeah, it's nice he's got a position change. Yeah, it's nice. I guess he's a feature player, but he is really nothing too insane as Serie A centre-backs. But again, I don't think there's any problem putting like 5% of your coins in him, which will be at discard, which will probably end up being about, I want to say about 17k. We then get to this player, which is quite interesting, which is Guilherme Cintia. Now, the reason this guy is quite interesting is because a player who's done quite well recently was Ismaili. Now, one of the theories around why Ismaili did pretty well is, one, everyone was building Ligue 1 teams, but two, because there were just a lack of Brazilian left-backs. Now, the one thing you blatantly can see here is we now do have Ismaili and Fabio. So we're not really lacking in Brazilian left-backs. But if this guy goes and hits discard, I generally don't think it's the worst shot in the dark. I mean, an 83 rated Brazilian, not that the League of Nations has that much, but basically he's got like weakened lead demand, and he's got fodder demand. So he's a little bit of he's a nice one to double down on. Can't guarantee he'll bang because we've just had these two, but he is someone I would put a portion of coins in, even though he's from a relatively made-up league of the Super League, which again just isn't used. We'll now move to Danny Prejo. Again, you can pick him up for fodder. I probably wouldn't, because the best ones to go for are the ones that are fodder and have a bit of weaker need demand, because if one doesn't work, then the other can. And Danny Prejo, sadly, is nothing more than fodder. Casemiro I quite like. And the reason Casemiro is quite good is 91s are actually going to become quite a good investment up and coming. The reason they're going to become quite a good investment is because Benzema is likely to get a Team of the Year. De Bruyne is likely to get a Team of the Year. Messi is likely to get a Team of the Year. Therefore, only leaving Gold Lewandowski in packs during Team of the Year. Now, obviously, yes, some come in and out of packs. They come in and out of packs with midfielders going in and then forwards, and then they put them all. But what's quite interesting is when Lewandowski went out of packs last year, and we can move through to here, Lewandowski actually went from, so he would have gone out of packs on the 20th. This is the first time he went out of packs. 60k. By the end of the team year, it was up at 87k. Now, this is fully subjective on the SBCs. I believe there's a mixture of Icon SBCs and the Rafael Varane. But if you want to gamble, again, it's a bit of a gamble, but if you're happy to gamble that high-rated fodder will be needed during Team of the Year for some very well-demanded SBCs, this guy's a really good investment, because not only is a lot of 91 fodder going to go out of packs, but this guy's going to go down to the price of 91 fodder. I believe he already is the price of 91 fodder, which means picking this guy up on probably Saturday and Sunday, before we get any Icon SBCs, I do think is a really good bet. gambling that we get well-demanded SBCs during Team of the Year. Because obviously everyone save packs, which means a lot of people end up doing SBCs, which means that some of the high-rated fodder do as well, because people pack all the 86s, 87s, 88s. But if you need an 89 or an 88 rated team, you sometimes need that 91 to push you just over the edge of getting that rating. So I do think the likes of Casemiro is probably one of the best looks at this week, as long as you're willing to hold on to him going into Team of the Year. Slightly the case with Kane as well. High-rated informs could do pretty well during Team of the Year if we are given the right sort of SBCs. Again, you're probably looking to pick him up about Saturday evening, maybe Sunday midday, before we get any hero and icon SBCs. And I believe that's all she really wrote. Obviously, you got Acuna, but if I was going to go into an 87, I don't think Acuna has very good weekly demand. I'd much prefer to go into someone like a Danilo. If you really want to gamble, you can go the likes of Soloff, because Acuna, again, you might as well go and buy someone that offers high cap. Now, Talisca, people are a bit saying about the Ronaldo. I wouldn't gamble on them dropping a Ronaldo too soon, just because I don't think it'll be the most hyped up card in the world. Yes, it's card will go up when they do release a Ronaldo, but I wouldn't hold my breath for it. I'd prefer to go into, again, one of the 87s like Danilo or Soloff that I think would be a little bit more demanded. We then get to March, not really doing anything for me, just a very generic inform. It's nice that he's got that left back utility, but it doesn't really do much. And then finally we get ourselves to Lazovic, which again, striker, 3-star skills, 3-star weak foot, very undesired, very average card. So once again, I'll give you a quick run through of the cards that I think you could go and pick up. Some Sillisons at discard wouldn't be bad. Some Benacers at discard wouldn't be bad. Can look at some Abrahams, but I think Benacer would be a little bit better than Abraham. Some Soloffs at discard's okay. Danilo at discard's well, sorry. What would be discard for their ratings? Whatever an 87 is going for Sunday morning. Danilo is good at discard. Kondo would be good to pick up on the Sunday. Pick up a few of this guy at discard. Casemiro is probably looking like your best bet this week, just because at high-rated fodder and informs are quite a good gamble going into Team of the Year. And other than that, you've got the likes of Kane. But again, I probably would say if I was going to put my majority of coins into anyone, it would be this inform Casemiro, because he has slight weekly demand, but it's mainly because going into Team Year, a lot of 91s are going to go out of packs, and you know he also wouldn't be in packs this 91 inform, and therefore could potentially do really, really well, like the rest of the 91s could. So yeah, weekly demand, Conde, fodder, and a little bit weekly demand, Casemiro. That's all she wrote. Thanks for watching, and I'm sure on Monday you'll probably get a video about me investing 3 million coins into Casemiro.